On a good day, enjoy yourself. On a bad day, examine your conscience. God arranges for both kinds of days so that we won't take anything for granted. So join us today as we talk about keeping your head up. It will get better. You're listening to the Surging Forward podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward broadcast, where we're helping you to have a positive view in a negative world. My name is David Valentine, and I'm here to help you see the value in the job you do and how you can keep surging forward. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward podcast. This is Dave Valentine back for another episode. This is actually episode number 45. And today, we're going to be talking about what do you do when things just don't go your way? Well, that's something that happens all the time. But before I talk about that, I want to bring you up to date to speed with some things. We're doing a whole lot of things on Facebook now. If you haven't touched base with us on the Surging Forward page, look us up on Facebook. We're doing actually a code update course, not a code update, actually how to use the code book, which is going to be done on Tuesday. By the time this podcast actually comes out, it comes out on Monday evening, but by the time some of y'all get it, it may already be done. But make sure you stay up to date with some of the things going up on Facebook, and look me up on Facebook. Just tag me as your friend. I will more than likely definitely hook up and confirm, because my actual page and my Surging Forward page are linked, and so I'm trying to reach as many people as I can who need help with the code or with the trade, whether it's HVAC, electrical, whatever the case may be. I don't have all the answers by no means. I don't want to put that out to anybody that I know everything, because an old mentor told me a long time ago, when you run across that person that knows it all, you need to run the other way. Because I've been doing this for a long time. And as I tell some of my apprentices on the trade, when I was first in this trade, I was a young man in the trade, just out of the Navy. I got a little humbled right off the bat, so I said, I'm going to find everything there is to know about the trade. Went to schooling, got through the apprenticeship, got through everything. And on a scale from 1 to 10, I was probably pushing a good 8. I knew just about everything that needed to be known in the field. But as I moved along in the trade, I got promoted to foreman fairly quickly, and that knocked me down a notch. I realized there was some things I didn't know. A lot about leadership, actually. How to take care of other people, how to communicate. My friends, you could be the best tradesman in the world, but if you don't know how to communicate properly and deal with people, you're not going to be very good leader. So, it takes two. And so I learned a lot. I had some good mentors, and I also had some rough mentors that weren't so good. But as I tell my apprentices all the time, you learn from the good as well as the bad. And you probably learn more from the bad. But going back to the scale, when I became a foreman, I was dropped down to about a 6. And when I became a superintendent, I dropped down to a 5. And then I became an instructor. Now, people look at me as an instructor and say, oh, wow, he's been around, he knows a lot. And yeah, I do. Compared to what I used to know, yeah, I know a lot. But compared to what I need to know, sometimes I don't feel like it's enough. Because, my friends, there is so much out there, whatever field you're in, whether it's HVAC, electrical, plumbing, any kind of leadership. If you're a president of a company, if you're running a lawyer's office, doctors, whatever the case may be, things are changing. We are in a fast-paced world. And, just look at your Windows software. Sometimes you look at that, my gosh, every time you turn around, it's doing an update. So that's what life is about now. It's about change. Which brings me back to what we're talking about here. Things don't always go the way that they need to go. And, when we go through things, we're going to run into obstacles. We're going to experience change, and things are going to happen. So what do you do? Well, one of the things I do, and I happen to do it, I don't put out a lot of my, beliefs and different things like that. I try to stay very neutral, but yet I do have Judeo-Christian values, and I have Judeo-Christian beliefs. And one of the things I do is every day I get a little scripture or something that reminds me of different things. And, probably 20% of the time, I would say that's about it. They're just nice. But almost 80% of the time, it's funny how those things will apply when I'm just not in a good mood. I prepare on this podcast. Oh, everything's great. Everything's wonderful. I go to my class and I put on the, okay, let's get challenged face. But guys, I have issues too. It just happens to all of us. And, even guys who have that totally calm attitude, I've talked to many of them, before. They don't vent a lot of times out in public, but they vent in private. They don't get this sense of accomplishment. And sometimes they're the greatest leaders you've ever known. And they just don't have a sense of accomplishment. You read some of the memoirs of some of the great leaders like Churchill and, some of the great successful men, Henry Ford even. You look at some of the things that was going on in his life, and he had some crazy people in his family even. But he still persevered and became successful. So what's the difference? What is it? It's something that you get in your life that can motivate you on at least a weekly basis, like going to church or going to some kind of festivity or activity that keeps you motivated. Okay? Or, like I do, it's on a daily basis. I get feedback daily. Matter of fact, it's not just one. It's like 2 or 3 that I get in my email box a day. Matter of fact, my wife sends me one. It's interesting. It's called Small Straws. And that one is probably the most frustrating because that one seems to be on the money every time I'm going through something. Coincidence? Well, who knows? But it makes a difference in my life. It helps me to keep that positive attitude. So listening to podcasts, that can be your positive niche. I've gotten a point. I think I'm up to, what is it? I was looking on my phone the other day. I think I'm up to like 15 different podcasts that I'm listening to. And I was like, wow, I don't have that much time in a day. I drive back and forth to work. It takes me about 30, 40 minutes to get to work. And I listen to 1.5 maybe. Sometimes I listen to 1 and 2 trips because I have to pause it by the time I get to work. When I'm on the road quite a bit, I might listen to a few. Excuse me. So I might listen to those a little bit. But I started listening to the podcast, and that helps. Because it used to be I'd listen to the news. I'd pick up all this stuff going on, all the negative this and negative that, and, the politics, and, who's this, who's that, fake news, everything, But what does that do to your mindset? Now, it doesn't mean, do I not listen to news at all? No. I keep up with the news. I look on the internet. I can read pretty much whatever I need to do. Just do the newscast in Google, and you move on. And you get what you need to understand what's going on. Do I find out what's going on locally? Yeah, I just go to the local channel. I can see all kinds of stuff going on. So I've kind of got myself out of the talking heads that just talk negative all the time. Are they still out there? Yeah, they've got their own podcast too. Making people miserable, causing them to go out there and protest everything. But what's that doing for you? Does that make you happy? Or does it make you angry? Well, that's what we need to do. We need to constantly be checking our spirit, checking ourselves of what is it that can make you positive. Well, like I gave you one of mine, I get little encouragements throughout the day. I get about 3 emails a day, and they come at different times of the day. And so it always fails when it happens, to make a difference. I also listen to quite a few different podcasts. And, if you like a list of the podcasts that I listen to, great. Just send me a line. I'm really trying to encourage the communication guys out there because I want you to know there's people out there who care. And we're all in this thing together. You see, when I started Surging Forward, it's not about me surging forward. It's about us surging forward. we have gotten into this thing in the world where it's gotten to be such a me society. I see it at work. I see it at the job sites. I see it in the office. I see it in organizations. People are just worried about what they can get in it for themselves. They won't even do you a favor, until you say, hey, what's in it for me? Well, my gosh, I don't even know what I can give you. I'm just asking if you'll do this, I didn't ask for any flack. Fine, I'll just go ahead and do it myself. It's not a big deal. But you're constantly getting that. And people just, it's like, I don't know, something has changed. And so that's why when I enjoy teaching, you sit in the classroom, even on our Facebook page. That's why I give big kudos out to Tony Griffin. He started a Facebook page called Electrical Tricks, Tips, and Discussion. And that's a great place to just learn things and keep a positive attitude where you can learn about your particular trade. There's ones out there for plumbing also and HVAC. But the thing is, even in those, you see, somebody asks a simple question, and you got the guys in there just slamming and jamming and embarrassing them and doing this and doing that. Just the negativity. And it's just like, wow, the guy just curls up and says, whoa, I'm sorry. What's that all about? Why do we do that? I even go to things, I see I've gotten involved in social media quite a bit in the past couple weeks here. And so I never used to be that big into it. So I'm doing a lot with the YouTube. I'm doing some with the Instagram. I'm doing some with different things. But I'm also seeing a lot of videos. And some of the videos I see are just horrendous. It's like, why would you treat your kids like that? And you wonder why your kids are messed up? Really? I mean, think about it, guys. You have negative attitudes and you have positive attitudes. Deep down inside, we know what's right and wrong. I mean, face it. You can't deny it. So, but yet, I don't care how positive you are, we get affected by the negativism. I find it so amazing that it's so hard to convince somebody to do something right. But it's so easy to get sucked down into that hole of doing things wrong. It's like an addiction. It's like alcoholism. It's like drug addiction. It's like we just don't think we can dig ourselves out. Well, you can dig yourself out. Constantly keep hitting yourself with the positive views. Because, see, we're constantly being hit with the negative views. And we get hit by it by the media. We get hit by it with advertisements. We get hit by it with movies. We get hit by it at work. We get hit by it in the papers. You get hit by it on talk radio. You even get hit by it with the music nowadays. My goodness, I've listened to some of the music and I'm like, really? Wow. I was in the days of rock and roll and everything too, and it was about fun, having a good time and doing this and that. Some of the stuff I hear now, it's like, wow, that's just downright scary. I mean, are we really talking about this? And people think it's funny. We think, my friends, somebody out there doesn't think it's funny because they're the ones that are hurting. They're the ones that are being destroyed. I was talking to a guy. He just hooked up with me through my podcast. He does a suicide prevention podcast. Now, who'd have thought? Really? There's that many people out there? Yes, there is. There's a lot of hurting people out there. Some people are just right on that border. So it's up to us to help each other. And that is how we can keep surging forward and staying positive. And that's the way we keep everything in a positive note. Doesn't mean you're never going to get any negative vibes. I get negativity. I had one of the reasons I'm doing this episode right here is not necessarily just to start spouting about how positive things are, because it helps me. By me helping others, it helps me. I had a pretty rough week this week. There was a lot of things that happened at work. I'm still working a full-time job. I don't do this full-time. I'm not in the media full-time. I work a full-time job. I teach classes 2 to 3 nights a week. I also do my online programming. I, constantly, now I've got this involved with the social media and researching and helping out with blogs and helping out with Facebook and different things like that. It takes a lot of time. But you know what? I still find time to spend with my wife. I still find time to veg on the couch and just do nothing, watch TV. And so we have to prioritize what we're doing. And in order to do that, that's what the positive attitudes keep you. That's what all the positive podcasts tell you to do. I don't care which ones you want to pick to listen to. The negative ones are just going to tell you, everything sucks. Life is this, do this, just, drink, be merry, and tomorrow you may die. What an attitude. Really? No, nothing to look forward to? See, we all have something to look forward to. Last week we talked about freelance to freedom, with Vincent there. What a fantastic story. So what is it that you like to do? What are your dreams? I've had a podcast before talking about your dreams. Everybody has different types of dreams out there. So you should be out there pursuing your dreams. So what do you want to do? You have a lot of talent. Each one of us out there has different types of talent that we can do. People are amazed that I get up and I talk to a crowd of people. It's like, aren't you afraid somebody's going to question you? I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all because, I'm right. I got a pretty good average. I'm right 50 to 80% of the time. The other 20% of the time, I'm wrong. And I know that. So when they catch me on doing something and I didn't say it quite right, oh, wow, you're absolutely right. Let's look it up here. Let's find it in a code book. Let's look at it. So I teach them the self-confidence that they need. Self-confidence doesn't mean you know everything. Like I said, my mentor told me a long time ago, and I have to agree with it. When you run across that guy that knows everything, you need to go the other way because he's a dangerous person. Understand what you know and understand what you don't know. That's where the self-confidence comes into play. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And what I don't know, I know how to find the information. If I can't find the information, I know who to call. And if I don't know who to call, I can go into a group on Facebook. I can ask a question. I can do something. And you know what? I'm going to get a lot of people bashing me. Wow, you're an instructor. You should know that. You should do that. You should. Dude, this is a big world out there. And since the internet's opened up, it's an even bigger world. There's a lot of information out there. You're never going to know everything. So don't put yourself under that kind of stress to think you have to know everything there is to know about your work, about your career, about whatever you're doing. It's a constant learning process. That's why we continue to keep surging forward. I keep going back to that. So think about that. What are you going to do? Find one thing to do this week that you are going to do, and it's going to give a positive view for you. Find something you can get just maybe a blurb once a day. Get one positive message a day. See how it changes your life. See how it changes your attitude of the people around you. I'm meeting a lot of cool guys in a group. There's a young man in Texas named Dustin. What a great guy. Me and him, we haven't even met. But he's got his own business. He's documenting his life. He's got a cool podcast where he's documenting, his road to master and how he's doing his business and how he's journeying his way up. What a great thing. I got another guy named David. He's talking about awakening the leader. He just started his podcast a while back. My goodness, he's the one that got me into the video, and he started doing all this with video. Because wow, if he could do it, I can do it. That's pretty neat, But, and I'm not doing it the greatest in the world, but we're learning. You have to continue to keep growing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. You can go from 0 to 60 in a lifetime. You may never get to the full 60 miles an hour. Probably not. Very few people make it all the way to the top and turn into Donald Trumps and run for president. Great dream. But the odds, out of how many people live in this country, it's just like NFL football. Lots of kids play football. Lots of people play college ball. By the time they get to the NFL, it's weeded out quite a bit. But does it mean the ones that played football in college are any less successful? Absolutely not. They go on to have great careers because they take things that they learn and they use it as a stepping ladder to keep them surging forward. Got to keep saying that every time I turn around because that's the encouragement that I want to give to you. And it's also the encouragement that I get from you. So I want to thank you for the emails that you guys sent to me and the encouragement that I get. Thanks for a lot of the likes I'm getting out there on Facebook. And feel free to comment. And also, I want to say congratulations to Austin Castle, who won the code book. We had a code book contest in the Electrical Tricks and Tips website. And he won a 2017 electrical code book. That's pretty cool. Now, of course, some people in the state, they're already, some of the places in the country, they're already under it. But Virginia, they'll probably be under it quite a while. But This is, like I said, I'm getting ready to sign off. But before I sign off, I want to say thanks for all that you guys have done for me. And that's a real meaningful thankful. It's the encouragement that I get to keep doing these weekly, because it's tough to get in here and do it weekly. I look back now and say I should have done it every 2 weeks. But now my wife's encouraged me. Need to get it done. Need to get it done. So thanks for that. And like I say, this is episode 45. Episode 50 is going to be coming up, and I'm looking at doing something special for episode 50. I don't know. 50 is just a mile marker. I can't believe I'm doing this for almost 50 episodes now. And I'm thinking of doing something with the Star Trek theme. I got my Star Trek shirt on, and I've always liked Star Trek. Captain Kirk, he was one of those guys. No matter what kind of problems he had, he overcame. Got it happening. You know, whether he had to cheat the system, whatever he did, he kept it fair, took care of his guys, took care of his team, made it through. So we're always going to run into problems, fellas. It's never going to change. So keep that in mind. Find something to give you a positive encouragement each and every day. Stay safe, my friends, and keep surging forward. God bless.